Want some candy?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I hear you looking for candy, man, bitch.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Like scary movies.
Uh-huh. Want some candy?
I have my lemons there.
There you go. All right, you ready? Bring this in. What's up, Candy Killers? Welcome back to another episode of Monster Candy Podcast with myself, Screaming E from the Memphis Murdermen, Oubliette Sparks from Tsunami Bomb, and a special guest. Oobs, you want to bring your buddy in?
I do. Straight off of playing Fest and doing the most epic Kiss cover set I've ever fucking seen. Much better than Kiss has ever done, and much better guys than any member of Kiss.
That's probably true.
Yes. We have a stand-up guy that has a stand-up family. Like, holy shit, listening to the stories of your significant other in the pandemic and all she did, and now you have a baby, and like so much has happened, and you are one of those people that the second you fucking meet Mike Terry, like Mike Terry is a friend. I can tell you right now, like in the last 5 years, there's maybe 3 people I could say that about. 10 years, whatever, and he is one of them. Like, kind soul, just fun to be around, awesome, and like it's sad I don't see him as much as I should, but like, yeah. Mike Terry, Jukebox Romantics. Heyo.
Hello. Hey, I am so excited to be on the Monster Candy Podcast. I've been listening to this podcast for off and on for 4 years. 4 years, maybe. I don't know. I pick and choose here or there. I jump in and jump out. Like I saw even the other day, I saw the Thanksgiving episode. I was like, I'm out of this one. I had like fever dreams of that movie one year.
Charlie Price did that one.
I know, and I wanted to listen to it. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to skip this one. I listen to way too many podcasts, and just hello, Monster Candy people, listeners. I too am a fan, and I'm honored to be here as a special guest this week, talking about one of my favorite movies, favorite horror movies. But so
bring it in.
Today we're doing
Mikey T.
We're doing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022's my favorite. I didn't even know that movie came out this year, but no, the original Tobe Hooper.
I was about to say, oh shit.
Yeah, did you not watch The Right Material?
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah, we're doing 1974's TCM, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. One of my favorite, and we'll get into it, movies. And thanks for having me, E and Oobs. I love the show. I love everybody you guys have on the show because you're all just like awesome, real people. All the hosts are just cool people, big fans of movies in general and music, and just like good people and good vibes. And it's like fun listening to you guys each week because it's like hanging out with friends that I don't get to see.
The sweetest thing you've ever said to me was when we played that show together recently, and I walked in and gave him a hug, and he was like, earlier today I was listening to the latest Monster Candy because I felt like hanging out with you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people listen to radio shows or feel so close to radio shows, like just because like you spend so much time in your car or working, and just I listen to a lot of podcasts and probably not as much music as I probably should as a musician. So
same.
And I just love, I love, like, I consume so much media and TV and film, and so like listening to you guys talk about movies that I love or don't love and get a different aspect of it, like, is pretty cool. So I'll probably go back and listen to Thanksgiving at some point.
Yeah, because you can get an honest opinion from us. A lot of
you guys for sure. You guys definitely give an honest opinion. You guys aren't shilling to any sort of corporate sponsors for any movie, so it's all good.
Or sometimes a super bullshit opinion, like when E said Werewolf at Night was a superhero movie, and he doesn't like superhero movies. Fuck you, dude. I will never stop being mad about that. Ever.
I mean, such is life. It happens. but it is a
Okay,
superhero movie.
just know that next time I see you, and just so you guys know, I've only actually ever seen E once
It was epic
in
though.
in real life, and actually it was I think the anniversary was yesterday, like 4 years ago yesterday, 3 years ago
Maybe,
yesterday. 'Cause it came up in
maybe.
my feed, and we looked good in those pictures.
Yeah, we did.
But this next time, there's gonna be pictures of me like slapping the ever loving shit out of him, and he doesn't. He thinks he knows me well enough, but he doesn't really know me well enough to know that I
mean,
will just slap the shit out of him when I see him.
I might like
Because
it.
I know
there
he
you
won't.
go.
Because I know he won't press charges.
Say, do
Well,
it
there's
again,
now
mommy.
audio recording of this premeditated slap. So
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you
But he
saying
just said he would like it, so
yeah.
he asked for it.
It's fine. This won't be a
And
Johnny
if my
Depp,
fist
Amber Heard
happens
thing.
to be closed, it's just bringing an extra
Hey,
fun element.
there you
great,
go.
I'm an accessory now.
Very sorry, Mike.
I do appreciate you saying all those nice things, Mikey T, because like
Just
I don't
don't get
listen to
his ego any bigger, please.
yeah, I don't listen to a lot of horror podcasts because the ones that I have they're like all too nice. Or they're like really trying to be shitty about the movie.
Well,
Right.
yeah, like last podcast on the left is just like a bro down, like, let's take shots and be crazy and just say dumb shit about movies.
Yeah.
I really, really wanted to love it, and I was like, and I love potty humor and stupid shit, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah, there's some good ones and there's some that are like shorter and give like just a real honest opinion of it, which I appreciate those ones. Camp Kaiju is a good one that focuses mostly on like obviously kaiju films.
Sweet.
And they're, they give a pretty honest thing, but yeah, a lot of them are like, oh man, this one's awesome, or like, oh, this is fucking stupid and blah blah blah. And I'm like, well,
It's funny you say that because it's like I can only really find like there's really not that many good or that many. I'm sure there are a lot of horror podcasts, definitely YouTubers,
Yeah.
but like while we're on the subject of this podcast, there's so many. Like I'm a big pro wrestling nerd, and there's like 1,000 pro wrestling podcasts. And when it comes to horror, I've done my digging. I've like there's Monster Candy, and then there's like 2 or 3 other ones that are like worth listening to. And I listened to that one of them and you guys, and then the other one I used to listen to doesn't exist anymore. They stopped doing it. And then I had a podcast with my buddies, but it was like video games, comic books, wrestling, and horror movies.
Right.
So the horror movie stuff was like 7 minutes of every show, and so it wasn't destination horror. So it's cool. I'm stoked to do this with you guys and talk about this movie and talk about what's going on in the horror world right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a weird time of the year.
Well, I feel like we should pay him to go to horror conventions and just say that to like everyone there.
Everybody, here you go.
Oh no. So I got a couple friends, my buddy Doug and my buddy buddy Dom, a different Dom.
A different Dom.
A different Dom. Yeah, a different Dominator.
Cheater.
Yeah, I know. A different Dom.
We don't do that here.
I know.
We do
There's
not
only
do
one
that.
Dom. I know. So they both try to get me to go to Monster Mania in New Jersey, like all the time. It happens like once or twice a year. Or I guess there's like different versions of it, but they always want me to go. And like, I am not a convention person. I've done Comic-Con one time. I've gone to other conventions, but I have zero, unless it's maybe like Shawn Michaels, the wrestler, or I don't know, maybe him. I wouldn't even say him. I don't think I'd ever spend any amount of time waiting online to pay somebody to get an autograph. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I totally get why they do it. They like the pictures with them. It's fun for them. They're huge.
Is cool.
Yeah.
That's my problem. And that's why I don't want to go, because I know I will buy all this shit that I have no place to put, and that my wife will be like, you could put it in this room that doesn't exist in our house. So, so it'll just accumulate. And I don't want that. I have enough t-shirts. I got enough shit. I definitely have like random artifacts from movies, but I know if I go to these things, I'm going to buy like something. And I always do. Even when I go to like the Alamo Draft House.
Way too much.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I go
yeah.
to the Alamo Draft House for like special movie events. And I always buy some fucking swag.
Oh, the
shit.
Mondo
So
shit?
it's
Yeah,
just-
totally.
I buy anything. So like,
But here's
so
a
no
secret.
conventions for you, boy.
Well, wait, here's a secret. You find the good conventions that have like random themed after parties and don't even go to the convention and go to those. Like Pensacon in Pensacola, Florida, like every bar and restaurant has like themed menus, themed drinks. The actors show up and hang out with people. Like it's really fun. I go down there for it and I don't even go to the convention. I just go to all the free
See,
shit.
yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I feel like Comic Con in New York is kind of like that. There's always these after party things going on that are pretty all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
So
hang out around the area.
Yeah. Just on the peripheral. I'm just hanging out, putting out the vibe.
There you go.
Yeah, the best vacation I ever had with my husband, we went to Pittsburgh and it was the biggest furry convention of the year and we didn't know.
Oh,
And when we checked into our hotel, they gave us a piece of paper telling us about it. We didn't go in the convention, but we went to all these bars and restaurants and it was honestly the best vacation we ever had. We have all these pictures with furries. It was insane. They were dancing in the street. They were like taking over like fine dining restaurants, all the bars. There were just thousands of furries.
I love it.
And it was
I love
great.
it.
I know we always talk about like if we hit the 20-year anniversary mark, we're doing Anthropomorphicon again, but not going to the con, just hang out in Pittsburgh and
Okay.
But I wanted
That
to know
works.
why I got a 5-star hotel for like $50. That was why.
There you go.
That was why.
All right. Well,
And
let's,
now,
let's
finally.
get into it. It's time for horror news. Ew.
Sorry, all the horror news lately has been about me talking about Winnie the Pooh, Peter Pan, all these
Very-
becoming horror movies. Now
Very
Bambi.
Disney.
Shut the
Fucking
fuck up.
Bambi.
There's Bambi now?
Oh no, Bambi is going to be a killer deer.
Love it.
And
Yeah.
it's like a serious thing, and there's like actually money behind this one. Less for Winnie the Pooh and Peter Pan, but this one has
Okay, so I heard about the Peter
backing.
Pan one. Peter Pan's, if that's a real one?
So that's the same one. So this one guy, because a lot of these stories now are public domain.
Yeah.
So he's doing a Winnie the Pooh horror story.
It's the same guy doing the Peter Pan one?
Yeah, his next one. Before anyone's seen Winnie the Pooh, Sweat and
Love
Honey
it,
or whatever
love
the
it. Just
fucking name
already-
is.
He's already
like,
dropped
"Oh, I'm
he's
doing
dropped
Peter
phase
Pan."
2 already.
Yeah. But fucking Bambi. It's
Yeah.
called Bambi the Reckoning. And I'm here for it. His fucking mom got killed and that traumatized everybody who's our age. So
I mean that's got to be the backstory, right? Like his mother gets killed from a hunter and he goes on like a revenge.
yeah,
I
I'm sure.
feel
I
like
really hope it's animated though.
yeah, it'd be good if it was animated. I feel like, I mean, obviously that's like a generic idea that people over the years have probably come up with at different times. But I feel like I know Mad TV did one with Rudolph, but I also feel like one of the sketch comedy shows like 20 years ago.
No,
came up.
SNL did
Or-
Bambi.
SNL, yeah.
Yeah. But it wasn't good.
Disney. Yeah. Well, I'm
I
sure
mean,
the
SNL
Satanists.
hasn't been good for like
Yeah.
a long time.
It
Yeah.
has
had a
its
couple-
moments.
They had I was gonna say they had a couple moments the last 5 years, very brief ones that were solid. But yeah, the Bambi one was not good.
So does it have a release date?
No, just they're in production,
Got it.
which
Yeah.
is fine because it's actually like in production, so it means it's gonna happen, maybe.
Well, at least it's not a remake. I guess it's not technically a remake. It's a reimagining.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an
a
origin
sequel.
story or it's a character story.
Yeah.
It's just so hard. I feel like it's so hard to come up with something original and something like that. It sounds so much fun. It's like, it kind of sells itself. Like, I mean, like I'm half interested. So it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, now that Eisner's taken back Disney and is CEO for 2 years, if he was fucking smart, he would do like a Dark Side of Disney movie series.
that's true.
Yeah, I'm sure all the Satanists at Disney have something in the works for his
I mean,
his
Disney
arrival.
Plus now has R-rated stuff. Like,
It's true.
and they've been doing a lot of stuff with villains. There's a whole series about villains, everything else. There's a show at Disney World
Yeah,
about
but
villains.
it's so. If it's going to be done the way I think it would be done, like the way Winnie the Pooh is, I feel like it's so outside of Disney. Like, it would have to be like a separate company. That's like, yeah, we know Disney owns it, but it's very not Disney. Like, it wouldn't be
yeah.
on Disney Plus, unless it's on Disney 21 Plus, which is like a subgenre of Disney
Well,
Plus.
but Disney Plus added Fresh, which was that cannibal horror movie.
That's on Disney Plus.
hmm
Wow,
Not in the US, but in
Wow.
Australia and Europe.
We're way too soft here.
Just
not in the
wait.
US.
Just wait till Disney starts doing porn.
I was gonna say I can't wait till Disney does a Serbian film.
Mm-hmm.
But they added Deadpool on Disney Plus. They're
Oh, that makes
starting
sense,
to open up. I mean, it's there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Just disgracing the mouse's name.
The rumor is Apple is buying Disney, and that's what Eisner's back for.
Oh, like the transfer.
Well, he has 2 years to hire someone to take over his place, but before he left, he was trying to make the deal for Apple to buy Disney. Now that he's back, I'm sure he's going to do that. If that happens, I guarantee you Apple Plus, which has amazing series, will do like some dark Disney shit.
He's the interim head coach.
And this is coming from someone who like Severance films at my restaurant. So,
Awesome.
and
Well,
they're filming again in February,
there you go.
and I get
Yay.
commission on that. So that's
nice.
a good
That's good.
thing.
That's
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I get a 10% commission on what they pay, and they pay a lot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They did a bunch of filming at one of my jobs. What do they film? The Leftovers all over one of my jobs for HBO, and they paid the bar that I was working at like a good amount of money, and they were there for like only like a week or two, which is a good amount of time.
I gave them a price, being like they're gonna barter, and they're like, okay.
Yeah, they don't
But
care.
then, like all these do, they push your buttons, they change it, they change dates, and so it's like, okay, because you put me through all this, I'm doubling what I originally said, and they were like, okay. I just like transferred money, and I was like,
because they don't have to start over.
okay.
Score
So you
for
got
Juliet.
you got any other hot news? So you got we
Bambi.
did Bambi. You got anything else?
Mm,
No.
No. Yeah, it was kind of slow news since the last episode. The only thing I really had, which is similar, and I heard about it during Thanksgiving, which I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving listening. But what I heard about it like in one of the Thanksgiving conversations I had, and I was like, oh, that just sounds like Winnie the Pooh, and now I guess Bambi. But I heard about the mean one. Did you guys hear about the mean one?
Mm-mm.
The Grinch. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we talked about it for news last episode.
Oh, did you guys really?
Did we? I don't think we did. Not the Grinch.
Yes, we did. E blocks everything out.
Well, okay. So then, for those who didn't listen to last episode,
But go
like
ahead,
me,
Mike. Go.
I don't want to
do
rehash.
it. No, do
So-
it. Do it.
December 9th.
I'm a
the mean
lady.
one.
No one listens. I got lady parts.
They're making a Grinch. It's going to be a horror movie. It's coming out December 9th. But I thought the cool thing about it was that the actor who played Art the Clown is playing the Grinch.
Oh fuck! I did not know that. So this is.
So okay, news update then. Okay, so an
Yeah.
update to an earlier story that Oubliette dropped.
A huge update.
Yeah,
no,
so
that is a real update.
yeah, David Howard Thornton is playing the mean one. And basically the synopsis is, in a sleepy town, Cindy has her parents murdered and her Christmas stolen by a bloodthirsty green figure in a red suit, the mean one. But when the ravenous Christmas-hating creature begins to terrorize the town and threatens to ruin the holiday, she finds a new purpose, trapping and killing the monster. And December 9th is the theatrical release date. And I think it got a December 9th is what it says.
This year?
This year.
This is serious news.
Yeah, unofficial Grinch horror movies, and it's got an IMDb page with all this info. And as of a Bloody Disgusting also has it up here also with.
I thought it was next year.
Yeah, December 9th, this year.
That's
which
wild.
is
Like you
which is crazy.
I'm
'cause
here
you didn't
for
hear
it.
anything about it.
Yeah, December 9th is like real soon.
Yeah, it was like 3 weeks ago they started talking about it.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're like really hoping to like, um,
Ruin
you know,
Christmas.
yeah, I guess really just push it. I don't know, and I guess they're trying to go off the backs of like Terrifier because that movie just did insane in the theater. So
Dude.
Right.
so that's
Last I
probably
heard, it was like reaching 18 million,
that's crazy.
which is fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I also as a guest, I guess go back to an old episode and throw in my 2 cents on Terrifier 2 real quick.
Go for it.
I too thought it was too long, but
So fucking long.
but I fucking loved it. Anyway, that's all I have for horror news. E, do you have any horror news?
Well, it's not really horror news, but I didn't get to talk about
It's
it on
always
the last,
horror news.
yeah, on the last episode because it just happened when we were recording. But The Walking Dead finally came to an end, and most people
I've never seen one episode.
most people
Not even a
bailed.
clip. Not even like a second.
But most people bailed for seasons in. They're like, all right, I'm done. But I stuck it out the whole way, and I was a little not a little, because most of the seasons they'd have like some peaks where you're like, oh shit, that's cool, and then it got lame again. So
Yeah.
did you watch
sorry
it, Mike?
for you.
No.
So I watched. I was a very early on adapter. I read the
Right.
comics. I read a lot of the comic, not all of it. I read up to
Mhm.
Glenn,
Mhm.
and then I stick with it weekly. I was on top of it. I didn't wait for it to come out. I watched it live on TV,
Right.
and because we used to podcast about it with my old podcast, the Rude Dude Cast, and I stopped during the pandemic, and then when they came back and they did those special pandemic episodes, those standalone episodes. There was like that weird grenade episode, and then they introduced a whole nother group of people,
Yeah.
like new bad guys. I'm like, I'm over it. And then I think I jumped back in for a little bit of whatever this is, season 11, in the beginning of it, and then I know where they were going, and I knew how the comic book ended, so I saw that's where the way it was going, and I haven't finished it. I'm probably like 15 or 8 or 16 episodes behind. Now that I know how it ended, I don't know if I'll finish it, and I feel like I should because I spent like a third of my life watching it.
Yeah, I
like
just
it's a long
started
time
it.
to watch something to not finish something.
Yeah, that was me. I started it and I was like, I'm fucking into it like now, so I'm just gonna ride it out till the end and see. But yeah,
and I know it's a big setup for like all the spin-off shows.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like. And I was like, man, that kind of sucks. Like it was a little
because they're trying to sell
anticlimactic.
those AMC Plus subscriptions.
Yeah. And it's like, see, I never got into the comics or anything like that. So, but I had friends that did. So I'd hear like, in the first first few years, like, oh shit, they're introducing this guy and blah, 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 or this, scenario. And then what happens when they start having like all these different directors and then the source material kind of gets evaporated from the storyline and they start doing new things. Okay, this person's going to direct, so we're going to introduce these new characters that weren't in the thing. Like there's too many cooks in the kitchen. And it starts going like off in the weeds, and then they try and bring it back, and that doesn't really work because now there's 20 new characters that you're trying to fit into this storyline that was a pretty simple storyline. Like they come in, they fucking run into new bad guys, and that's basically it. And maybe a character here and there comes in, but they were just like, let's just do all this new shit and put it in and try and wrap it up in the end. And they didn't really wrap it up in the end because they, hey, we have 5 spinoffs.
I mean, aren't they tired of fighting? Like, I feel like there's always a war going on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So I was bummed out. I was like, man,
I'm sorry for you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I was bummed out. It's not like I don't
know if I'd be bummed out because I'm so checked out at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
I was just like, let's see how they do this.
You were doing it. I mean, it's part of what you did for so long. You watched, this is what we do. We watched The Walking Dead on this day at this time,
Yeah. It felt like a lot of the movies, not a lot of the movies, but some of the movies we talk about on here that they like just don't know what to do at the end. Like they get into it and they've done all this stuff, and now they're like, how the fuck do we end this? Okay, let's just give it some weak ass ending and send it on its way. And I'm like, man, that's kind of shitty for people that put like, I don't know, 11 years into
it's
it.
tough. So let's say they did write an ending. You get the people like Breaking Bad and shows like that, and like The Sopranos. I guess not The Sopranos, but there are shows that have like a defined ending set. Right. And I think that's great. But then when you're talking about television, they want to squeeze as much money out of it as possible.
Yeah.
So like the Walking Dead's numbers, like their viewership was like in the 11, 15 millions, for like a few years. And even now when they're like, oh, the ratings are in the tank or tanking, there's still millions of viewers. So it's not bad. It's just bad in comparison to what it was. Yeah. And so it's like, why wouldn't we just keep doing this? And the actors are making money, and so they don't care. Sometimes they might be bored of it. So, it does get directionless, and you have this source material that you can base it off of. So it really, you can't fault them for it.
Yeah, no.
Especially because there's people who like it. I mean,
yeah.
Like
people still fucking love it. And
they have a convention, their own convention.
Dude,
so they,
totally.
So
it was just weird. Cause I'm like, man, this isn't how it should go, but
it's super cool that we got to be like, we all live in this universe where zombies were like a super like cool thing for like normies to watch on television. Like these people would be like, there's too much sex on TV and there's too much this, but like me and my sons, we watch The Walking Dead on Sundays. We don't give a fuck about the guns shooting people and this and that, but no abortions. It's like I think that's like, besides that aspect of it, it was just like,
oh God, yeah. X-Files, Lost, Walking Dead, like all these things that like everyone in USA was like, yeah, we love this. And I'm like, but do you?
Right, because it's tough because it's like ours. Like we're nerds about it, so we feel protective of that sort of stuff.
Right.
But I think it's super cool when like, hard, like right now we are living in 2022 and all the movies that make money besides superhero movies are horror movies. Like this whole like people still go to the movies to see horror movies, even normies. Like that fucking movie that movie Smile did huge numbers. Huge numbers in the theater.
In September and October, the top 4 movies, other than like crazy blockbusters, there were no real blockbusters, were like horror movies. Like I told you, like I have one theater where I live, and I couldn't believe there were 3 horror movies playing at once.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, and that's like what you were saying, Oubliette. It's funny you brought up Lost because that's like I didn't follow Lost. Like I watched the first maybe season, and then I
haven't watched one episode.
This shit's crazy, but it had the same feeling like that where it ended, and you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck? What was this? Why did that happen? And there's so many unanswered things that never got cleared up that they just kind of threw in.
I'm such a weirdo with stuff that's popular. Like I have to be honest, I've never watched like Better Off Dead. I've never watched Grandma's Boy. There's a lot because like when people hype stuff up, I'm like, I'm just gonna get disappointed. So I'm not gonna do it.
Was Better Off Dead hyped up for you? The John Cusack movie? Was that super popular? Is that like a popular movie? Like
I don't know. I feel like it is, but like I didn't do that. Like Grandma's Boy, no. I mean, there's some other ones that would probably shock you guys.
So do you feel like you're that way with bands too? If somebody's hyping up a band to you, will you like stop yourself from listening to it as much because it's like in the zeitgeist of the world, or will you give it like a listen?
Oh, with music, with me, like I'm fucking so. I mean, I barely ever go to live shows. Went to a live show tonight. Right. I listen to a lot of old stuff. Like honestly, most stuff I listen to is 60s or before. Well, actually, no, tons of 80s new wave. But like modern music, I don't really. But when we played Fast, No Trigger was so fucking cool, and I was like, "Oh, I love this!" And I looked them up. But maybe because I don't immerse myself in it and look for it, I don't find it,
Got it.
but
So it has nothing to do with like
I
a popularity scale, because you were talking about movies like Grandma's Boy or like stuff like Lost, like these things that were like popular and like they.
no. Like when I left, like when my time ended with Tsunami Bomb the first time, like it put such a sour taste in my mouth that I actually like stopped listening to music. And I know that sounds crazy,
It
No,
doesn't.
no, it makes sense. No, it makes total
but
sense.
but I gave someone my entire like, suitcase CD book with like 300 CDs or whatever. And when I lived in Austin, music capital, like I rarely went to shows, and when I did, it was whatever. I think I would watch The Faint when they came into town, maybe a couple other bands, but like no, I actually like it killed music for me.
Mhm.
Understandable.
Yeah. I mean, not old stuff. It's still
Right,
like
right,
David
right.
Alco, Johnny
Yeah,
Cash, like Nancy Sinatra,
yeah, yeah.
whatever. But so it's weird now because I'm still the same way. I don't actually seek out new music like so many people do. Like I do love music, but like unless it presents itself in my face,
Mhm.
like I'm
But
not
you,
gonna.
but you seek out new movies, right? You so that's cool.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for sure.
Right, right,
Because
right.
that's my break from work, and honestly, because I guess now that Tsunami Bomb is back active, when I'm
Totally.
driving in my car, I'm either listening to podcasts like serial killer murder podcasts, or I'm listening to our demos or our practice recordings since they're in California and I'm in New York, and like it's my way to practice and see what we're gonna do at our next show. So
Mm.
I mean,
I
that
don't
makes
listen to a lot of music.
total sense. I'm the same way. I don't really seek out new music. If something catches my ear, I'll be like, oh, what's up with that? Even if people are like, oh my God, this is so good. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Usually people I've found if they are dropping loads over something, it's usually not that
Yeah.
good.
Well, no, but for me, like the Hammer Bombs, oh my fucking God. I love them so much.
Yeah.
Pokey LaForge, there's like a couple that I've
Mm.
come across through algorithms or whatever, and I'm super into it. But it's weird. Everyone's always like, "Oh, you're a musician. Like, what's new and happening?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm in my 40s. I run a restaurant. I work all the time and listen to murder podcasts, and I need at least 8 hours of sleep every night." So
Right,
I
right.
do this for a
I'm
living.
not
I
really,
don't care about anything.
I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure, but
Well, to go back to what you were saying, E, I'm sorry about The Walking Dead, and I hope Rick is alive.
He is. Well, yeah, he is because he's part of another spinoff. Him and fucking
No, I know.
Michonne.
That's
I'm
like the joke. It was like he was
Yeah.
never going to die because they already announced his other show.
right. I'm like, what?
You got to
Like-
keep feeding the machine. You can't let him.
Like
you can't
that
let
was
him
like the
die.
whole big thing of like 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago when he disappeared. That he got.
Well, they were
going to
do a
some
movie.
fucking something, and you're
But
like,
then the pandemic happened, so I
Yeah.
think that fucked up the movie
Oh.
thing.
so there's a lot of shit they didn't wrap up, which I guess is why they're like, oh, here's 40,000 spinoffs we're gonna do. But
Right.
I'll probably watch them. So what am I to talk? Anyway, that's all I got for horror news.
Cool.
Anybody else? No.
no.
Nothing.
right.
Nothing.
All right, that's been
Horrors.
there. We go. All right, let's get into it. The Texas
right,
Chainsaw
well-
Massacre.
God damn it, dude. This one, I cannot believe that this podcast has never done this movie.
There's
I
so
know,
many
it's
movies
kinda
we didn't do.
shocking.
There's so
When
many.
I asked Mike Terry, I was like, I want you to be a guest. What movies do you love? And he named like 4, and I was like, I'm sure we've done them all. I mean, before my time. And then I asked Ian, he's like, no, none.
Which is so weird because like asking someone what their favorite horror movies is really tough because like I feel like kind of like music, instead of like your ride or die bands, there's
Yeah.
like, you're always, at least me, I'm always listening to, not new stuff, but there's over time you find different bands that you like or music or moods, depending on what your mood is. And I feel like with movies, it's, you got your favorite movies and then you have your genres of movies. And I can name my top 5 to 10 movies and none of them are really horror movies. But in my top horror movies, I always come back to this movie, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it's not the first horror movie that I saw. But it's
Right.
definitely like the first one that like fucking blew me away in so many different levels, and then like stuck with me for a while. And then I saw like from watching other movies that came after it, like how influential it was on the whole industry.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and then when you put it in this aspect of the time that it came out in 1974, this is before Halloween. So
Right.
it's like, whereas Halloween is like considered like, the mecca of like slasher films. Like I don't even know what you would call the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because as I was rewatching it the other day in preparation for this, I realized that it's like kind of presented like a found footage movie at first.
Right.
Where you have the
Oh,
opening
it is
scroll.
the first Blair Witch Project.
For sure.
Yeah, it definitely gives off that vibe, right? Like it gives off this scary, like, hey, this is what's going on. People's graves are being robbed. That there's been these horrific murders. It's now known as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And you open up to that iconic image of like the face in the grave, like, like rotting or whatever it was. And so like right off the bat, you're given this like, I'm watching like a Discovery film or something, almost like a National Geographic of horror or something.
Right. Yeah. I do. It's funny that you mentioned that first scene, because that was like technically a reshoot. That's not originally how it was supposed to open, but they just went back and reshot some shit. So the fucking, the corpse on the tombstone.
So I didn't remember that part.
Mm.
I've seen this movie so many times that when I was watching it earlier today, I didn't remember ever seeing. I remember seeing the face, the skull,
Right.
like
Mhm.
the teeth.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did
yeah.
not remember seeing it staying up that way with the knees and the legs
Mhm.
like that.
Same,
Holding
same,
that.
same. I don't remember that either. And I also, there's things I definitely
Super
remember, but I
fucking
feel
weird.
like, I think it's one of those things where like, when you've seen a movie so many times and then you watch it over the years here or there, like there's things that you just never ever picked up. And I guess because I was watching it, I had it on in the background when I was working from home. So I was like watching it kind of, but there was other things I was picking up on in this movie. And another one that was fucking crazy that I definitely didn't pick up when I was fucking 13 years old watching it the first time was how the music and the sound was in this movie. It is so nerve wracking that I think the
Oh,
movie
yeah.
would be, I mean, most movies, but this movie would be so less weird or weird in a different way without like the random tones that are going on in the background of this movie when
This
things are
movie
happening.
tries to make you uncomfortable.
Totally. That's one of the best things about it.
100%.
Yep.
It's yeah. And I guess like, without being so schizophrenic about our conversation with it and not, breaking down the movie from the beginning to end, because we don't need to do that. I feel like most people listening to this have probably
Yeah.
seen it. And if you haven't, go watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mike, you were so excited.
but like it's fucking weird. Like I think that's why I liked it, because I didn't like horror movies. Like the first horror movies that I saw, I remember being terrified of. Till this day I hate fucking pop out horror shit. Like I hate jump scares. I don't like ghost horror movies. Like I'll watch them, but I don't like them. I went to see Paranormal Activity with a stress ball. Like that's how much I don't like jump scares in horror movies. So
Oh no, see, I love that shit, but it terrifies me. But the same thing,
no,
I
it
need
terrifies
like
me, but then
I need
it's
like
cheap.
a cuddly blanket, and I need
Like I
cover
don't
my
know.
eyes.
It depends on how it's done. Like if it's like well
Yeah.
thought out and it's like a well earned jump scare, then great. But like when it's just loud noises jumping in front of a camera, like a Paranormal
Well,
Activity,
that's cheap.
or
Yeah,
like The
no,
Conjuring.
Paranormal Activity I
Like,
hated.
yeah.
No,
Well,
but the original Conjuring actually scared me more than any movie ever. And in the
yeah, yeah.
theater, no, in the theater, I was not scared
Mm.
at all. And I got out of it and was like, yeah, it was okay. But then in my room, I have like a wardrobe.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just went to
Terrifying.
bed being like, the movie was whatever. And then
Oh,
I
yeah.
shit you not, I woke up literally on the minute of the devil's hour, looked at the clock, and then was like, I don't want to look to my right.
No, 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 no,
To
no.
my
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
There's something on my wardrobe. I'm not going to do it. And I like grabbed my husband and just like dug my head in and went to sleep. And then that went on for weeks because I'm such a fucking psycho. I woke up at that minute every night for a week. and then would not look to my right. And then my dog started barking at that time and going crazy. And I was like, I will never watch that movie again. It ruined my life.
Oh yeah, so I guess so. That's like I guess that would make something a scary movie because like it sticks with you, like The Exorcist or these other
And
things
the
like that. Yeah, the clapping, the hand clap thing. Yeah, like that.
yeah,
Totally.
there would be times, and like right after that, like no, my husband never leaves town. He had to leave town, and we live by a quarry. There's explosions, different things, house moves, and of course, I'm like, I'm sleeping on the couch tonight. Dogs are here, whatever, and then I'd hear. I'm like, is that in my head or is it like an explosion? Or like,
Yeah.
I'm not okay with that. And then the dogs would go wild, and I'm like, fuck my fucking life.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Watch that movie.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
never in my life does a clap like this scare me. I'm fucking like, I've listened to like new wave and punk and rock and roll my whole life. A double clap is awesome. Like, why is it scaring
Right.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
no, I was gonna say like yeah, I don't know. So like I like
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
yeah. So like yeah, that's so I was trying to circle back to like how that would be scared me, and it did not. Like I wasn't scared of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and which you kind of should be. Like a lot of people are scared of movies that are like this could happen in real life. So like The Strangers or things that like are humans doing fucked up shit is scary because you know that it could happen. And that's exactly what Texas Chainsaw Massacre is. But for me, it was always like the ghost shit that scared me. But this was the first movie that I was just like, oh, I love gory movies and I love how gory it was. And then finding out that it was based off of a serial killer got me totally into Ed Gein and other serial killers and like put me into this rabbit hole. So kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the movie that got me into the fucked up horror crime world of things and started my path into the, I love Saw. I loved like all these, like, I was born.
I didn't love Saw, but like I buy all the true crime books. And like when I lived in Wisconsin, I lived 2 blocks from Ed Gein's farm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You were saying Wisconsin before. Yeah. Everybody's
and
there.
15 minutes away from where Dahmer was executed or whatever.
Yeah. Wisconsin's fucked.
Yeah.
No, totally.
They
But
got
also
good cheese.
super awesome. I thought I would hate it there, but it's so fucking cool. It's really
Wisconsin's
cool.
all right.
I mean, it sucks in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but it's all right.
Yeah. Well,
It has the house on the rock and like some really cool art stuff. And
that's one of the things this movie does so good. First of all, how raw it is, which also kind of makes you feel uncomfortable. But like when you think of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you always think like he's fucking chopping everyone up and it's gory in this. But then when you watch it, there's not actually that much. You don't actually see that much. But the impression it made on you, you're like, which is why movies like this work, because the impression is so good.
Well, they already hooked you from the beginning. The fucking name of the movie is terrifying, and this is back then. Even
started
now,
out intense, and then even when the kid comes into the van, he's like cutting himself. It's so fucking funny to me. This group of hippies are like, "Oh, should we pick him up? No, he looks weird." Then they pick him up,
and he is
and
weird.
then of course, but the things they react to are the wrong things. Like the really odd things, they're like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. And then like, like, oh, he cuts the guy in the wheelchair. Now we're gonna kick him out. And I'm like, why didn't you get to this sooner?
Yeah, dude, but
all the signs were there. Like,
and it's funny. It's funny because Edwin Neal is like he's such a sweetheart. That dude's such a nice guy.
Oh, he gave me the best hug I've probably ever had in my life.
He's amazing. And he's known for being a creepy fucking...
We took 2 sake bombs together in Pensacola.
Yeah. Dude, he loves to dance. Like, he's like...
Yeah.
He's a porn-loving dude.
I'm sorry, which person is this now? I'm bad with actors.
The hitchhiker. The hitchhiker.
Okay, the hitchhiker. Gotcha.
Yeah. And the one in Texas Chainsaw, too, that's like scratching his scalp off.
Right.
No. No, that's actually...
Is that not him?
No. That's Bill Moseley. And that character,
is it?
Yeah, that character Chop Top is supposedly like their brother that was in the war that came back, like in
Damn,
Vietnam.
I
and
always
then
thought
came
that was
back.
the same guy. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that was Bill Moseley.
yeah. I thought it was supposed to be the same character
Well,
for the longest time,
just
and
like
then
my original AOL Instant Messenger name, Still Learning. I love to be still learning.
yeah, because I saw that movie like the second one, dude. I was, I don't know, 9 or 8 in a fucking hotel room with my family, going up to Boston to see my other family, and my brother. Me and my brother are up real late, and that was on. So I mean, I forever I've seen that movie, and then I don't know, probably I don't know, maybe my later teens. Like I always thought, oh, that's supposed to be the guy from the thing,
From the
not
first movie, yeah.
not remembering he
Yeah.
gets run over by a fucking
Right. But
the
like,
truck.
so,
Right.
all right.
But-
So,
yeah,
but,
you
so
know,
like,
but
but it goes back to what we started saying when we first started talking about it. We were like saying the music. So like the music you listened to when you were a teenager is the music that like you love forever kind of thing.
Mhm.
So like this was the movie I saw as like that age that got me into the genre of like all the gore, like the gore stuff, which is totally like in my age range of being like, you know, I was in middle school and high school when like those Saw and movies were coming out and all shit like that, which is totally why the Texas Chainsaw Massacre opened that up for me. So with so that opening scene where you're talking about with Franklin and everybody in the car, oops, and we were talking about how fucking weird this movie is. As weird as this fucking movie is, the whole thing is weird. And it's so creepy at the end when they're screaming and all, like she's screaming for like 30 minutes at the end. But if you rewind to the beginning and watch this movie as an adult, the way we just did, if you rewatched it or watched it recently, it is fucking hilarious. Okay.
No, I know. I was laughing the whole time today, and I felt kind of shitty about it.
I was laughing at least just in the beginning. The beginning is very funny because it's just so like
When he's
Franklin
trying to
is
pee
so
and he
over the
falls
top.
over. Oh my God,
But it's
Franklin
not
is
even like.
so.
But it's not like
Franklin's
you
broke.
you're not like
Franklin-
laughing at him because he's like, you know, disabled. You're laughing at him because he's
we
fucking
weren't?
stupid.
That's why I was. I'm like, fuck you and your legs. You're not non-working legs, you fat fuck.
No, but when he's like, "Oh, come on, Franklin, it'll be a good time. Come on, Franklin, we'll go here.
Yeah.
Come on, Franklin."
No, I
Like
know.
he is so annoying. Like you like I don't think as a kid when I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I was rooting for Franklin to die. But as an adult, the whole time I'm like, I cannot wait till Franklin dies. And they hold off for so long.
As a kid, I was like, God, just
He sucks.
please. And when the guy like starts cutting his arms, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but it's not till way later. He lasts longer than most people.
I know. And what's funny is they have actually revamped the synopsis of this movie, and it says like her and her brother Franklin, like they focus it on them.
Well, yeah, it is very it's very much on the group, but it is them too as like the main people.
So I know, but he is so sucky.
Yeah,
he's like a suck fest.
He is. He
like even when he's trying to pee, and then the truck comes and he falls over, and he's like, ah!
It was so funny. It was
well.
I'm like, dude, you did not get hurt. You're fine.
So
like your friends are
your legs already don't work, buddy.
Like Jesus Christ, nothing's broken.
So the actor Paul A. Parton, so he stayed in character the whole time and really made everyone like.
Oh, he is method.
Oh
method.
Yeah,
like Nick Cage.
Yeah, he's actually a veteran. He's a naval veteran, served in Vietnam.
Oh.
So he came back and did that, and everyone was like, God, you suck, because he stayed in character and was just always whining even when they weren't shooting. So he did his part, and I used to fucking hate him. He's still annoying.
Okay, so he's super annoying, but he's not the only funny part of the movie. The other funny part of the movie is when or like, you know, the father, I guess. Yeah, when he's yelling at the rest of the family for like fucking things up, he's like, "Oh, you let the girl this and you did this," and like the whole scene where he's yelling about her breaking the door is also hilarious. Well, he's like, "You broke the door, you dummy," and like I was just like, "Oh my God, like this is so funny," but like watching it, it's not funny. It's terrifying, but it is funny.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that didn't annoy me until because I always thought growing up watching this movie that the old man, Jim Sidow. I always thought he was the father of Leatherface and the hitchhiker, and the grandpa was his father, right? And then it came to my attention, I don't know, some years ago, that he's supposed to be the brother. And we discussed this on one of the episodes where we talked a little bit about this movie. And I'm like, wait, what? He's the brother? First of all, he looks way older than both of them. So I just naturally thought he was the dad. And yet Tobe Hooper says he is supposed to be the brother. But I'm like,
where's the father then?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Because they don't mention anything that, and fucking, Leatherface dresses up like the grandma when he's cooking dinner or whatever, whatever. And it's just like, all right, what the fuck happened to the parents? Because grandpa's supposed to be 100 and fucking whatever, 8 years old.
Oh yeah. So
well,
weird.
no, the sheriff was the dad, right?
No, he's not. He said he wasn't.
Yeah. The guy the gas station guy.
Really?
Yeah. He's
eyebrow guy? He's definitely the dad.
Mm-mm.
Because no, he is. Do you not remember the 2013 movie with the super hot girl with blue eyes and big tits?
Oh my god, but she was gorgeous. But continue.
Tobe Hooper has said he's supposed to be
super funny because
the dad or
my
the brother.
husband kind of liked Fruit the Bulk. When we started dating, I had black hair and crazy blue eyes.
Uh-huh.
So we went and saw that movie, and I was like, "You like her?" And he's like, "Why would you say that?" And I was like, "She's your type, blue crazy eyes and dark hair." And I was like, "But she has really nice tits." He's like, "Actually, yeah, like she's super hot." And I'm like,
I'm not a boob person. She got great boobs.
No, dude, amazing, natural boobs, and she's skinny, like Andrea, or whatever. I can't.
She does a lot of horror movies. She does a lot of horror movies, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and she did White Lotus. She's done a lot of stuff. She's blowing up.
White Lotus.
Thank God. And she also did all the Percy Jackson.
Oh, okay.
Like the kids' films.
Nice.
But yeah, anyways, I didn't realize in that movie they had all the original people from that van in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre in that movie as other characters.
Yeah,
until today.
I didn't notice that either.
When I looked
it tries to be like a direct sequel because she's supposed to be like their granddaughter or their cousin.
Yeah. Well, she like inherits that house and she goes in. But they don't play themselves.
Right.
I didn't realize Pam and all of them, they gave them other roles. But they brought in the original Leatherface, they brought in Grandpa, they brought in everybody.
Oh, wow.
And even the original victims as other characters. And I did not know until today when I looked it up.
That movie, out of all the Texas Chainsaw Massacre versions there are and sequels, like that one wasn't that bad. Like it was fine. It was fine. The problem is you only
I loved
need
it.
the original.
No, I loved it. There was like these bright blue eyes and like giant boobs.
but yeah, going back to the old man, the one reason why, like, I don't know why they put this, why Tobe Hooper gave him this line, because it confuses everything too. Because after he nabs her, puts the fucking sack over her head, takes her back to the house.
Yeah.
And him and the hitchhiker go into the house. He's like, "Look what your brother did to the door," which is like something your dad would say. Like, why would you call him he's your brother too? So
yeah,
I was always confused. And then, there's commentary and stuff. Tobe Hooper's like, yeah, he is supposed to be their brother. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. To me,
man, I wish I knew that.
Yeah, he still seems like a dad. He still seems like their dad.
I saw
older brother.
I saw when they did like an anniversary of it. They played it at the Alamo Draft House by me on like on some sort of film. I don't know which film it was, but not traditional film. I guess 78 millimeter. Sorry,
right?
So, but Joe Bob did like a live introduction, which I'm a huge Joe Bob fan. But the movie started at 9:00 and he talked for 2 hours, and the movie then was at 11:00 on like a Tuesday. It was late, and so and like it was for a movie that we've all had seen before, and like so. But like I didn't realize. I wish he said something about their dad not being the dad then, or somebody asked. But another cool thing about this movie, especially in the world that the three of us are in, is that it's super DIY. I mean, they got a bunch of money. They got a bunch of money for it, and they got the town or the city to pay for it somehow.
Yeah.
And I know that's a big part of the lore. But like, there's a big horror movies in general, especially like lower budget ones, or like very punk in its idea of what they're trying to do, of like send a message, but also like be artistic and try to do it on a dime kind of thing. And so I thought like Texas Chainsaw Massacre like does that pretty well, and it's super, we were talking about Terrifier before and how much money it made for how much it spent, and I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so similar in that spirit. And like, and it's the first one to kind of do that. And so like all these movies that came after it that it influences, like, well, Texas Chainsaw Massacre did it like with this budget, so can we, and the stuff that they take from that movie, the influence that's left, they're always like the cool, like either DIY things or like how weird can we make this movie? Like the reason why House of a Thousand Corpses is great is because it's fucking weird. Rob Zombie, whatever anybody might think of Rob Zombie, he definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to like catching the tone of what he's trying to do. Like the new Munsters movie is whatever, but it feels like a Munsters thing. Like he knows the tone he's going for all the time. Yeah. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre has a tone to it. That's why we all love it, because it's fucking weird.
Yeah, totally. So the budget was an estimated $300,000, and then grossed US and Canada was almost 31 million.
Well, it's 300,000 in today's money. Right? Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So it's like,
Oh,
I think that's not a lot for a movie.
No.
No. I have a sad story to tell.
Oh
Kinda
no.
like, yeah, kind of like Feifel Mouskowitz in The American Tale. I'm not gonna sing "There Are No Cats in America" song.
Somewhere out there.
And
Or five.
someone singing a prayer that we'll find one another. Yeah. Anyway, there are no cats in America, and the world is filled with cheese.
Haha, we got her to do it.
So I feel weird saying this because of my job and the fact that Tobe Hooper's ex-wife is someone very prominent in my community. That is the reason why my dreams were crushed.
Well, let's hear it.
I know I have to think of the way to word it.
Okay.
So, for those of you who don't know, but you all know, I run restaurants for a living. I have one that's like super famous with hipsters. And then a few years ago, I opened one in a town called Woodstock, New York. The owner made a very, very, very bad decision when we went to the Chamber of Commerce in an event to talk about what we were opening. And he said the food would be affordable to anyone. Well, this particular town is a town that's so fucking expensive, but it has so many people who moved there in the 60s and on fixed incomes, and those are the ones at that meeting. So they expected like $5 plates of locally sourced meat, which
good luck with that.
You guys know, unless you're retard. Oh, I shouldn't say that word.
Unless you're Franklin's.
Unless you, exactly. Doesn't
You
happen.
broke the door, you dummy.
So anyways, when we opened, we got a shit ton of bullshit because of what the owner said, even though I gave him like a script and he said immediately, we're opening an affordable restaurant for all. And I was like, oh my God, my job's just getting so much harder. So we opened. People talk shit, whatever. But then one day we get a message on Facebook that just said, you're a fucking liar, from a Marsha Zwilling. And I'm like deleting them as they come through because the owner of my restaurant, literally, he's never paid himself anything. Like, we give back to the community. He just loves the community. He's not trying to overcharge anyone ever.
Uh-huh.
And this her person is like, you're a fucking liar. I saw you at the Woodstock Chamber of Commerce. You said it was going to be affordable. It's not. Like, we need a $5 burger. I don't care if it's local or not. It needs to be $5, blah, blah. And she's going crazy. And as I'm responding, I'm deleting it. So, like, because we're both on the Facebook business page, you can't
Right.
see it because we've got so much shit. And finally, I was like, look, you were so fucking out of touch. Like, fuck off. I don't think I said fuck off, but I was like, okay, so we're not for you. It's fine. Then I look her up, and she has like 8 Airbnbs for like $500 a night. She has an equestrian horse ranch, and she is Tobe Hooper's wife.
Oh man.
Because for me, my 2 biggest points in horror, well, I have like 5 maybe, but the first one ever was Poltergeist, because I auditioned for that. I auditioned for Poltergeist 3 when that chick died.
Right.
Oh,
But when I was a kid, people were always like, "Oh, you're the girl in Poltergeist." So I had fat cheeks, and I was like, "No, no, that came out."
didn't she die also?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, no, that's why I auditioned for Poltergeist 3. 'Cause she died.
Yeah,
So
but
I
it's
was
a good
in
thing you
the-
didn't get it, because that you'd be cursed for life.
Right. So Poltergeist was the first movie that like freaked me the fuck out.
Uh-huh.
And then Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the first one, also slasher wise, that was realistic enough to like make me be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Did you
That
did
was-
you
Right.
like it when you first saw it? Like, I remember loving it. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I
Oh no, Texas Chainsaw, like Poltergeist, I was like, oh, ugh. But I'm
Yeah.
like you, like the ghost weird shit, like that to me is too real,
Okay.
which is
yeah.
so weird because there are tons of serial killers and everything else, and I still listen to those podcasts all the time, and I am not worried about getting murdered. I am really more worried about when I watch TV in my house and I see a shadow and I'm like, oh my God,
Nah, see,
there's
that's
a
the thing.
fucking
Like,
poltergeist
there's
in
definitely
my
ghosts in
house,
my house.
and they're
And
gonna
you just
kill
got to be
me.
friends with them. You just got to be friends with the ghosts in the house.
No, same. I'm the same way. Like,
And
I
you got to
actually
lock your doors. I listen to so many
Oh.
murder podcasts too, and my wife doesn't lock a single door. I'm like,
Oh, I
think
don't.
about how much
No.
content there is just on people getting murdered and
No,
kidnapped.
that's so
that the
dumb, dude.
statistics are pretty high. They should probably lock your doors.
Locking your door is not going to save you. And it
I
was
mean,
so
it can
funny
help
'cause
you
then-
a little bit.
No, it was funny because I was telling my boss and my assistant about that the other day, and they were like, "Yeah, right." And then this guy who was fixing our car just like walked through a door we didn't even know could open and like busted open and it was locked. I was like, "See?"
Oh man.
Like,
Yo,
you
talking
never-
about doors and broken doors and just doors in general, because we're on the
Yes.
subject of doors.
Yes.
The door, when you first
Oh, yeah.
see Leatherface
Uh-huh.
and he swings it open. Oh no, he doesn't. It's already open.
so
Yeah.
cool.
It slams it
It's-
shut.
He
It's so
slams it
cool.
shut is the loudest point in that movie to that point, and that is the first. I feel for me the first real oh fuck moment of the movie. Like,
Totally.
yeah, the hitchhiker is weird, and like the grave robbing shit is like, it's so much in
No.
the peripheral.
To
It's like
me,
almost
it's
like info
the
dump in the
meat
back.
hook.
Yeah. The meat hook.
So
for
the meat
sure.
hook is, but the meat hook, not you just see the meat hook in the foreground of the shot. And
Yeah.
then you don't see the hook go into anybody.
Yeah.
It's
He just-
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
No,
you
you-
No.
fucking do.
he just holds her up and then
He just
puts her
holds her
on
up.
it, but you never see it go in.
Yeah, but you see the hook. So like,
Yeah,
like
but you
I know
don't
we're on
have to.
camera.
It's just like the Hounds of Baskerville.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Back in like the port, like implied is way
Yeah.
more effective.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Totally.
I mean, that's why Jaws
Like,
is so
I
scary the whole
fucking-
time.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. Like I love gore. I love gore because that shit doesn't scare me. Because I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Implied horror is so much more effective.
Right. So, but like, if it's so, but since it's implied, when you do get the gore at the end of the movie,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
or like when you get the gore
Ish.
when it's just, or not even at the end when he's just like ripping limbs off and stuff like that, like, or the chainsaw stuff, like,
No, the
It-
dinner.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
the dinner, yeah, yeah. It just makes it so much more like,
That's the part that got me.
The dinner is, when we get to
I
the
was
dinner.
fine with all of it. All of it. And I was very young when I saw it. And I was like, whatever. But the dinner, like
The dinner
that
feels like
is that.
she is not being raped at dinner, but it feels like a rape scene.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
And going back to what you said about the door, like that's probably the hook when she gets hooked is definitely iconic, but the door and that thud when he hits him with the hammer.
Oh, dude.
And he starts convulsing, and then he pulls him in and just slams the door. And you're right. That's the first moment where you're like, this is all gonna go real bad. And to what you were saying before, Oubliette, about like how, and you too, like how this doesn't scare you, even though it's about supposedly, supposed to be about real people. Like, oh shit. But it's because first of all the characters in this are believable in their role. Like you're like, I totally get that person, but they're all fucking likable. Like the family.
Oh yeah.
Like they're all charming. They're all charmingly psycho.
Oh
So
yeah.
You're not scared of them. You're like, oh, you're kind of funny
Oh,
and goofy.
I was about to say the hippies. Like, I didn't actually like the vegetarian girl and the guy with that died first. I didn't like them.
Yeah, no, not like them, but they're all believable in what they're doing. You're like, yeah, I'd imagine this is how
I
people
know,
would
but
act.
that's what makes you make the psychopath.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And the fucking father or the brother, the older
'Cause you're
brother's
like,
funny.
yeah, they just live out here and all these bullshit people come out and they're crazy.
Yeah, but that was not like
But
a
then
what's
it
it
goes
called?
to another level and you're like, oh shit. No.
But that's not like a choice though. Like nowadays when people make horror movies, they make a choice to make the characters that are going to die unlikable so that you're rooting for whatever's going to happen to them. But I think when they were making Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they weren't trying to make them seem unlikable. I think they were just trying to make them seem like normal ass annoying teenagers in a van.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, they were like, I mean, they did enough to make them seem kind of dumb and vulnerable. And at that time in the world, like anyone who was like free spirited was trash.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. And it's funny.
but the people who went and saw that movie were definitely not mainstream people.
Yeah.
So.
Totally.
Right.
And what you were saying about the dinner, there's a fun fact about that. So, when they take what's her name they untie her and take her to Grandpa Sally, right? And when he cuts when Leatherface cuts her finger to feed to Grandpa, right? Gunnar Hansen actually cut her.
Really?
Yeah, because they were the knife had some like masking tape or whatever kind of tape on the blade so it wouldn't cut her, and they had a tube behind the blade, but the tube to squirt blood, it kept getting clogged. So they were like take after take and it wasn't fucking working. And after one cut, Gunnar Hansen, while no one was looking, took the tape off the blade. And when they were going to shoot it again, he actually cut her. So that's an actual cut with real blood. And that's actually her like freaking out because it hurt so bad and no one noticed because they just think, she's acting and it's part of the scene.
She definitely needed a lot of therapy after making that movie, like, right?
Jesus
she definitely had to.
But yeah, the dinner part too is another like iconic moment where she like comes to and she looks and they're just all like looking at her. And it's you could just imagine how that would fucking feel.
None of the other Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, except for maybe the one with Matthew McConaughey, The Next Generation, like none of them capture that like weird family dinner vibe as well as the first one does. And it's besides like, I guess like, The Devil's Rejects, like or House of a Thousand Corpses, like in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre universe, like nothing really gets like that, like, dinner scene. I think that dinner scene is so, it's also not just that scene, but in general, the movie's like 83 minutes long. It
Mhm.
feels so long.
It does
because
long.
of how
I
long
know.
she's screaming for, and for how long they're at that dinner scene. Like it's a
No,
long
I could
time.
not believe it's only an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It
Because
feels long. It
It
feels
does.
much
Yeah.
longer.
That's one of the like the cons I have against this movie. And it's not even it's not long, but there's a point. It's where her and Franklin are running away
oh
before she gets
God, yep,
kidnapped. Like
yep,
that middle part where it's like,
Oh, like in the
fuck,
woods?
yeah, because you feel like it's
yeah,
getting ready to end, and then it doesn't end, and then she gets
yeah.
kidnapped, and then there's like a part. It's not that I hate it, but it just makes it feel.
Well, but that I think that's the point, right? So like
Yeah, yeah.
it's trying to make you feel like, man, this fucking girl is going through the ringer like
Mhm.
right now. Like
No,
she's like trying to get
totally.
out of there, and like just like she
It's
gets
just like a
captured and
1001
captured and
Space Odyssey of what they're trying to torture you.
Mhm.
Like
no, but like
this
it's like
movie,
her
I feel like they're
story.
trying to be like,
Yeah,
sure, it's her
Yeah, yeah, like
story,
she
but I also feel like they're trying to make it
uncomfortable.
like you wait on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
uncomfortable.
But she goes to the gas station, then they're there. Then
uh-huh.
she's in the
Yeah,
woods and they're there. Then she's at the
yeah,
house and they're there. So like she just cannot get the fuck away from them. It's almost like, like The Shining, like she can't get
Yep.
out of the house. You can't get out of the maze. You can't get out. Like she's just trying
yeah.
to leave. And it's totally like that, thing that everybody tells you, like when you're watching a horror movie, like, well, that wouldn't be me. I would just leave. I would just run away. It's like, yo, this girl, Sally, tried to run away 4 different times. And she's tried. Even at the end, when she gets away, that when she's screaming and laughing, she's laughing because she fucking finally got away.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's
Or did
crazy.
she?
Yeah.
Oh, is that like a thing? Is that like a
Well, no, but
okay? I thought maybe that was like a maybe she didn't get away thing.
No.
I mean, fast forward to 2022, she doesn't get away
Oh,
the-
right. That's
in the
right.
sequel. But yeah,
The
yeah.
sequel had one redeeming value of it. I loved the end of that movie. The way it ended was hilarious, but the rest of the movie was terrible.
It was not.
No, it's
So great.
awful. But
Yeah.
the 2013 that brought them
Great.
all back, which I didn't even know they brought them all back. I liked that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I'd never even noticed. Now it makes me want to go back and just watch the parts that they're in, not the whole movie.
You know what it is also? I think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan base is not like the Halloween fan base. So it's like where the Halloween fan base like hyper analyzes every Halloween thing and the canon and the story as regards to Laurie. Texas Chainsaw Massacre has been like, haphazard since the beginning. Like the second one, which like is nothing to the first one. It's a comedy, Dennis Hopper and all this shit. And then like there's
So
the
good.
third one.
So
Yeah, so
fucking
good.
funny.
I mean, Dennis
It's real
Hopper is
good.
great in everything. Like, but then like, I mean, he's King Koopa for Christ's sake. Like, so it's like, so then like you got the next generation one, and I'm sure there's another Texas Chainsaw Massacre that I'm missing somewhere between the 90s one and
Those are so many.
2013.
Charlie put them all in the Plex.
Oh,
You're
really?
on the Plex, right?
I'm not on
Mate.
the Plex. No.
What?
Mm-mm.
No.
Gotta get me on it.
We
Yeah.
we'll
We'll put into words for you.
Oh yeah.
well,
Yeah.
Like,
He
yeah, like,
is now.
yeah,
And-
like you're saying, like it's this to me, like Halloween's a fucking great movie. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is more fun. It's like it's a more fun movie, even though it's more demented.
Well, yeah. I think
And
that dementedness is what makes it fun.
yeah, and you like the killers.
Yeah, yeah. Well, everybody loves Michael Myers though, and loves Jason and Freddy, and like these iconic people. I mean, they're the iconic, they're the iconic ones. Like and I feel like Michael Myers is with them. Like he's part of that tribe.
Oh
of
yeah,
like
but I mean, like you love the family, as in like
right. So the family takes a backseat to Leatherface all the time, but the family is a huge part of the movie.
yeah. But like with Freddy, Freddy's different because Freddy or later Jason's came into like, okay, you want them to kill the people, but like Halloween, you were like, oh shit, get away, Laurie, because the focus is on Laurie, or this
Right.
The focus is on the family, and they're just goofy as fuck, and you're like, they're super likable, like they're not scary, but so So yeah, this is a fun
Yeah,
one.
because that's another thing. Like, you kind of want to be like, is this what they're like all the time? Or you can imagine what they're like all the time.
Right.
You know, like this is what, like, especially like the way the house looks. When you look around the
Right.
house, there's like chicken bones everywhere and like shit on the floor and just like
Everywhere.
I've totally slept in a punk house that definitely looks kind of like that house. You know,
Yeah.
like there's like a couch that's got maybe 4 to 5 inches of leather left on it.
Yep.
You know, the rest is just like whatever. But
Dirty
there's
cushion.
the atmosphere of that family in that house is so like creepy and
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, I don't know. So yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is amazing for all of those reasons. And I think I don't know why it holds up. Maybe because it's so weird.
Yeah, yeah. And it like I said, it's that raw kind of like uncomfortableness that definitely holds up, at least for me.
I mean, I
anyway.
have to say the intro when I watched it today, I was like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Oh yeah.
No,
Oh yeah.
I didn't
The
remember
sounds.
most of it. And then just the guy in the fucking van. I'm like, just push him out.
Oh yeah. Just push him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were okay with it because like Franklin was okay with him because Franklin was talking about the slaughterhouse. So he was like, "Oh, you used to work there?" Like blah 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 blah. So they were like, "Oh, I guess Franklin's cool with this shit." So
And
like, you know,
it's the 70s, whatever. Everyone's
yeah,
weird.
yeah. And they even say after they kick him out, "That's the last hitchhiker I'll ever pick up again."
Yeah,
So like, it was a learning moment, you know.
for sure.
Sure.
And John Larroquette, which, like I said, up until I was probably into my 20s, I didn't know that was him.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh shit.
Wait, what?
John Larroquette, the narrator. This is the Texas Chainsaw
Really?
Massacre. Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit. And then I found out in my
I
20s,
didn't
I'm
know
like,
that either.
Who is
whoa.
that? I don't know the name.
Oh, from Night Court. He played Dan.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Night Court and a bunch of other 80s movies and shit. But,
Night Court.
so there's
I'm aging myself with Night Court.
It was like, oh, I'm gonna age myself right now. It was like
I've heard of it.
Ed,
Yeah,
Gilligan's Island, and Night Court.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hell yeah. But anyway, let's rate this movie.
I guess
I'm
you have to
sure
read it.
everything's going to be high. So out of 5 cute zombie candy corns, or I guess cute
Ooh.
Leatherface Ed Gein candy corns, what are we
Yeah.
giving this movie? We'll let our guests go first. Mikey T.
Mhm.
I will give it a 4.9 because nothing is
Oh,
perfect, and it's imperfectly perfect. This movie. There's so many
Exactly.
things wrong with this
so
movie, but it's so
high.
good.
Mine's so high.
It's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's at a level where it's above a 4.5 at least.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 4.9.
And I rate things very hard. Like that's
There-
that's because you asked me my favorite horror movie, and this is one of them. So it's
Hey,
gonna be high.
I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I'm okay.
Hey, no, we're fine.
Yeah.
We're fine.
We're fine.
Go
We're
to
fine.
Juliet. What's your
Oh
score?
no.
No.
Oh no. No.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go. It, like you said, dude, and it's one of the things I always say about things. They're perfectly imperfect. Where, there's some things it drags a little bit and nothing is perfect about it, but that's why it's perfect. And for me,
He's trying to rationalize the low score. He's about to get
no, I'm this is not a low score. This is I'm giving it
He's a tough score.
I'm giving
Yeah.
it
It's low.
a 4.5 cute zombie Leatherface
Okay.
candy corns because this is a good
Holy
movie.
shit.
Yeah, it's a good one. Like I said, everything that's not perfect about it makes it so good. So I agree. I'm into it. Now Oubliette, Oubliettes gonna be like, yeah, it's like a 2.
It's like a 2 candy corns.
Why would you even say that? Do I do that?
No.
I would only do that to spite you.
All right.
So what do you got? What are you
Yeah,
rating
what do
it?
you got? Just digesting it.
I will give it a 5 candy corn rating.
Stop.
I agree.
Stop.
Hey. I agree with that. It's for you. It's a perfect movie. I get it.
Well, it's not a perfect movie for me, but I'm trying to think of the greater good.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Best thing about marketing. And like,
hey, talking about marketing, maybe you know this.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
you guys know this. How was this movie marketed? Was it like it got a theatrical run, right? It
Oh
had
yeah.
to.
Who will survive? What will be left of them?
They marketed it
It
as kind
got
of like,
banned so
yeah.
much.
Right. I remember
Yeah.
that. I remember hearing it got banned all the time, but it was like in the theaters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
And they did that whole intro thing where this is based on blah 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 and all that
Right,
stuff.
right.
to make
I
it
think they
seem like-
lied. They lied that it was
Yeah.
based on like a true story. I know it was very loosely based on Ed Gein, but like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that in the marketing that they lied about it being a true story. But like, I meant like the release, like how many theaters, like I don't know what movies, like how movies got released into theaters back then, or how you got even picked up into a theater, especially for like a movie like that. You know, you
Yeah.
feel like it would get like played at like drive-ins late at night, or like
limited.
like
it's
super
probably
limited.
wasn't- yeah.
Wait, 4.5, 4.9, and a 5. It's pretty
5.
fucking good.
Yeah. This movie's fucking pretty rad, and we think
God,
everyone should go
these,
watch
like,
it.
gave it the best score ever.
Yeah, it's pretty high. It's pretty goddamn high. So
Don't worry, my next ones will not be high like that.
good. Well, all right. With that being said, we'd like to thank Mikey T from the Jukebox Romantics fucking coming in.
Thanks, E, and thanks,
Yep.
Oubliette, for having me on your guys' show. That's very cool of you. I enjoyed talking about this movie. I could talk about it for way too long. So I appreciate it that we kept it hopefully concise enough for everybody.
Yeah.
We didn't tangent too much on it, but thanks for having me on.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good. All right, everybody. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
Bitches.
Like scary.
You ever dance with the devil by the pale moonlight? We don't have to be mean.
Yeah, Jack Burton just looks that big old storm right square in the eye and he says, "Get away from her, you bitch!"
You're gonna need a bigger boat. Your move, creep.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Want some candy?